Yes, you read the title of this video correctly, and it was not a writing mistake. There really were actually two underdogs in this all-time great Terminator 2 film, and not just one. Most oftentimes, in my experience, there's one and only one underdog per each film, but there were always two throughout this entire spectacular T2 journey. So who were they, then? Your first guess. And the one that probably immediately comes to mind for most is the T-800, and you wouldn't be wrong. In fact, the T-800's new role as an underdog hero in this sequel to that first one was one of the major ingredients that made Terminator 2 such an awesome and exciting cinematic thrill ride from start to finish. Compared to that first one where it was a big and scary and terrifying big bad. They built him up really spectacularly to be such a terrifying and formidable force to be reckoned with in that first one. So now that he's a good guy, who's going to be able to challenge such a powerful and terrifying opponent like the T-800 was to begin with, right? Well, I didn't think that they were going to be able to top that T-800 creation, but they did. They were somehow able to go above and beyond with this really fascinating and very creative advanced prototype T-1000 model. So we just gone over the obvious underdog for this greatest of all-time movie candidate, especially for anyone who has already seen this super spectacular blockbuster film. And sure, the T-800 is the main hero and focus of this futuristic robot versus robot battle. And a prime Arnold Schwarzenegger is also always going to get our focus, as well as always going to steal the spotlight in any movie that he is in. But there was another underdog, and one who was so very obvious, but yet has seemingly been overlooked by nearly all, and that other one was us. The humans in this whole exciting, but also super scary and apocalyptic robots versus human struggle. And in fact, we were such underdogs in this whole machines versus humans conflict that we had to enlist one of our enemies' own to assist and to help us in this seemingly impossible challenge and difficulty. And that was actually this amazing movie's entire ingenious plot and one of its main attractions from the start. So it looks like, in the end, we were able to prevail and to overcome our enemies by teaming up and enlisting one of their own to assist and to fight alongside us to overcome the greatest threat to our existence and ability to continue forward as a species. In a way, if you think about it, the T-800 lost, as well as the T-1000, and we were able to ultimately come out on top by, I guess what they say, fighting fire with fire and perhaps outsmarting our adversaries and taking advantage of one of their weaknesses that we didn't have, which is being organic and arguably not as easily programmable like they can be to destroy their own. But that just opened up, as they say, a whole other can of worms that will require its own totally dedicated video to study and to examine that fascinating thought at length, that one about being able to be reprogrammed and using that very unique weakness of theirs against their own. But for now, humanity has prevailed once again and was just able to overcome one of our greatest threats yet in this fictional Terminator 2 history and timeline. So yes, our desire and determination to overcome, to live and survive in this world, is like nothing else in this entire universe. And even as the underdogs within it, you might just say